I took my 96cc Minarelli to the beach last Friday and the engine failed on the way back, leaving me 50 miles from home after about 125 miles of riding that day. It was an engine setup that has been very reliable. I've taken it on many rides over 100 miles, running at long distances wide open. I made one change before I left for the beach. I swapped the 102 main jet for a 100. I've had poor fuel economy, only about 33 to 40 miles per gallon depending how I rode it. My cylinder head temperature gauge has been jumping around rather than providing stable readings, but temps have been low if anything. Max CHT on my last ride of 100 miles with plenty of wide open throttle was only about 320 degrees Fahrenheit. My plugs are always dark and no other signs led me to believe that I was running lean or even on the edge of lean. So I thought the minor change in jetting would be fine and would give me a little extra insurance that I could make it the 65 miles to the beach without needing to fill up on the way. The scooter ran great all the way to the beach and I had fuel to spare when I stopped for gas. I was enjoying leaving lights at half throttle or less and still being able to get away from traffic till at least 30 miles per hour. As the day progressed, I noticed that the scooter felt a little more sluggish. RPM didn't seem to rise quite as quickly as it had. Initially, I blamed this on the CVT's contra spring fading from heat, since it was a 95-degree day. As I left the beach, it even started to bog on acceleration when leaving lights. On the way home, engine RPM rose much slower than normal and acceleration suffered. Again, I assumed the CVT just wasn't working well from riding for so long in the heat. When the CVT had trouble shifting, it put a lot of load on the engine and I would see CHTs rise until engine RPM came into its normal range for the speed that I was at. I couldn't get an accurate reading on temps because of the gauge's recent issues, but I could tell that it ran hotter during those times. As I came out of a section with a bunch of turns, the scooter was struggling to accelerate quite a bit, and then, well, I'll just let you watch what happened. The CHT jumped up to 684 degrees when the engine failed, so I don't know what actual max temp was. I'm nearly 300 pounds and I could stand on the kickstart lever without it moving. I did get it to rotate over, but it felt like a lot of resistance, then none, then a lot again. It clearly wasn't going to start, and didn't. I ended up pushing it for a few hours before getting a ride home. Here's some video and pics from Disassembly so you can see the end result and maybe get some clues as to why this happened. Many of you probably know what to expect in the engine after just seeing the spark plug. As you can see, there was enough heat to melt the center of the piston crown. I believe the seizing of the Kickstarter was from these chunks of aluminum getting stuck between the piston and the head. There were bits of once molten piston everywhere inside of the engine. The cylinder itself appears to be salvageable with a cleanup and hone. The crank is probably done for. I removed the big chunks of piston from it and flushed it out thoroughly, but it still doesn't feel or sound quite right. I didn't take any video when I opened up the CVT, but here's what the front pulley and belt looked like. You can see thick black marks on the pulleys from severe belt slip as well as damage to the belt. At first I thought it must have been from the engine locking up, because it seemed that the CVT slipped rather than my rear tire locking when the engine failed. Then I noticed that the drive boss was stuck in the Malossi overrange variator's bushing. It was in there so tight that it needed to be hammered or pressed out. I initially thought the whole thing was due to my change from a 102 to a 100 main jet on a hot day with a little help from a weak contra spring. After taking it all apart, I suspect that the CVT played a larger role. I think the variator was causing the shifting issues and putting the engine under much more load than it's normally under, and that led to more heat than it should normally see. The hot day and the minor jetting change certainly didn't help, but I'm not sure that they played as large of a role as I suspected at first. If you have a different theory, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.